Buenas tardes. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Immediate Immersion Live. Today, we are going to be talking about technology to help kids get more comprehensible input. My name is Scott, and you're watching Immediate Immersion Live, where we're all about teaching with comprehensible input in the modern language classroom. And we'll be right back after this short intro. And we're back. Thank you for joining us today. This is Monday, the 17th of April. And as I said, we're going to be talking about technology and using comprehensible input through technology for your students. And so I've got 5 things I want to talk about today: using Quizlet, using gamifying apps in the classroom like Kahoot, Gimkit, and Bookit, using Soundtrap, YouTube, and then language Reactor with Netflix to provide some comprehensible input if you're not familiar with that. So we're going to talk about all of these, and if you have any questions along the way, go ahead and drop them in the comments. Love to hear from them. And we're going to go ahead and get started right away with Quizlet. And I'm going to share my screen. So let me switch over here. So here we are with Quizlet. And this was my old standby. I used this for many, many years. I've been on this since almost it was created. It was created by a 16-year-old to help them study with their own classes, and then they turned it into a business. And you can see I've got lots of different library solutions here. So I've made a whole bunch of Quizlet sets in here that kids can use. And they keep adding different activities you can do with each one. I'm just going to pick this one right off the bat here, just to show you the different things that can be done. Now, it was originally designed as a flashcard type of an app, but it's so much more than that. So you create them. You can even add images and sounds nowadays. I don't usually add that in there. I just do mine as a normal, with a word and a definition. This was from a novel that we read in the fall. So you can make these here. And then there are lots of things that kids can do with them. So let me get down to where it is. They've changed the interface since I've last used this, so bear with me a second. Okay, so we've created this as a new study set, and I want to do something with it. So you can flip them, so which is which, whether it's English first or the language first. You can set up the access who can see and be able to use these. Let me hit that create button. Now it's going to save it here. Now I've got all the different apps that I can use. So you can do it starting off just as flashcards. So kids can learn these words this way. They can go and you can shuffle them. You can hear what it means. Let's see if we go here. You can click it.
Estaba harto de.
And they can hear it. I didn't record that, obviously, so this is the system coming up with that. But they can go ahead and hear those. And they can just go ahead and practice all of the different words.
Venganza.
They can do autoplay, so they can see what's going on. This is just to help them learn. Joanne has a comment here. Let me go ahead and put her up here. Welcome, Joanne. Hi, Scott. At upper levels, like to make Spanish sets to make it more challenging. I usually use sentences instead of phrases or single words. Yes, that's also a really great use of that to help them also learn circumlocution, especially different ways to express the same kind of term. So yes, I have different ways. I don't always do vocabulary. I do sometimes question and answers as well. So it could be target language to target language if it's question and answer. It could be review questions about something. There's lots of different things. So think outside the box with the flashcards, but it's one of the activities that you can do. Now let me switch activities. My favorite activity with this is the learn activity. And the why I like this is because it automatically differentiates. So here the kids can start off and differentiate for themselves. But on top of that, as they go through this, it remembers which ones they got right, which ones they've got wrong, and it will automatically play back the ones they got wrong more often until they get them all. So we start here and we're going to do multiple choice. So we go through here and she was fed up with and revenge. And they can go through and I'm going to get one wrong deliberately. Joanne says Quizlet started charging this year, so they can't use all certain functions. That's true. They've been charging for a while, but they keep changing their plans. So you're right. I have not paid at all. This is all I'm using is on the free. So it works pretty well for me, what I can do just on the free. I don't pay for it. Montanza, so it tells me the correct answer. And as I go through all of these, gang member is pandillero. I shot is disparé. I'm just going to go through this really quick so we can see what happens. Remordimiento, killing. This is the one that I got wrong last time, so it's popping back up again. I can also listen to it if I need to. And it keeps on going. So yes, this is what Joanne was talking about. It's now saying there are 4 free rounds left for the set. Get unlimited rounds with Quizlet Plus. So they've got different charges in there. But what I like about this one is that it does repeat the ones they get wrong. So they get more practice with those particular ones. Then there are other things they can do. There is the test. And this just makes a little bit of a test on it. But again, they're starting to charge now. So they're charging more and more and more. Joanne says, I pay for the Plus account, but Quizlet wants my students to pay as well. It's fine for Quizlet Live, but the learn function is more limited. Yes, I can see that now, that they're getting more restrictive with being able to pay for them. The test I never really used. It's kind of really easy. But they used to have another game in here that my kids liked. Here it is. It's the matching game. And then they drag and drop. So we would have challenges in the front of the classroom. So I would have it up on my iPad and kids could use their fingers to drag and drop. And they could play with, see how quickly they could, who got the high score, who got the shortest time. So, they can just go through here, and as they drag the words over on top of the right answers, they start to disappear. Encarcelado, han perdidos, le apunté, and cambio. And then they can go ahead and have competitions. We did that. There was another one that I don't see here anymore that used to be the race that they could go across, and they had to type in the words before they fell off the side of the screen. So they've limited some of the things they've done, but you can still use this app if it suits you. I don't use this one as much as I used to, but it's still a good app for the basics. The next one I want to talk about are all similar apps. Let me close this out so we don't have it in there. So Gimkit, Kahoot, and Bookit, they're all very similar where you can create sets, and sometimes you can export your sets to each other. So if you've created a set like in Quizlet, you can import it into Kahoot or Bookit. Sometimes they have free ways to do it. Sometimes you have to pay to export them. So it just depends. My go-tos are usually Kahoot and Gimkit. I don't pay for Kahoot, but I do pay for Gimkit. Bookit is something new to me, so I don't use it that often, but I do use it to change things up. So you can see that all my little Gimkits that I have here, and for all of them, you can search to find other ones. So, for example, we're going to be reading a book coming up in Spanish too. Whoops, why is it not typing? La Noche Misteriosa en Granada. And I can see if there's any ones I can use already. So doesn't look like there is any for the one that I want. So I'll have to create all of those in here. These are all for a different novel. But let's go Vida y Muerte en la Mara Salvatrucha, which we read in the fall. You can see there's lots of them I can find for there that you can use. And you can add them to your own. You can modify them, which doesn't change the original, but if you might adjust it for your class. But you can find these, or you can make your own. And with Gimkit, there are lots of different games. When you click on one of these, let's go down here, play live. Lots of these different games that you can play. And the kids have their favorite games, and they're adding games all the time. Like this one, One Way Out, is a brand new game they just added when I logged in today. But there's lots of different games that you can play. Kahoot is similar. Again, you make questions and answers, and there's lots of different activities that you can do with them. The typical one is where they put a question, and there are 4 answers that they have to choose. Joanne says, my kids love Bookit especially, and it's simple to import Quizlet sets into Bookit. Ojo, set it to private when creating sets, or you may suddenly have dozens of ghost players. Also in Kahoot, yes. If you're not careful, you'll get a lot of people playing. So I turn mine off so other people can't play our particular ones. You can also set in all of these homework. You can set it so they can do them on their own as well. Kahoot, just like, again, I don't pay for Kahoot. Let me close that out. Just like for Gimkit and Bookit, you can search for different, my keyboard will work today. You can search for different ones that may have been already made. So let's try the one in here. Noches Misteriosas en Granada. And see, here we have ones that are made. This one was made by the actual author, Christy Placido. We've got different ones made by different teachers, so you can find them and then use them if you want. And you can assign it or you can start it, but it's another way to review and to play with the language. And again, they don't have to be vocabulary. They can be like here where you have question and answer as well. And then Bookit is the one I'm least familiar with. I've made it once for one of my kids, one of my classes, and we played this at the beginning of the year. It was just to review vocabulary. And the kids liked It's kind of like a little bit like Gimkit, that you can choose the types of games that you want to play. But my kids are not as familiar with this one, so it was something new and novel for them to play. So something fun and interesting with that. So those are all those same class types of games that you can play with that. Let me close those down. Now, this is a really, really gem. And they will nag you every time you log in to pay for it. I've used it for many years and never have had to pay for it at all. So I don't recommend having to pay for it. It was just bought by Spotify recently. So I don't know how they're going to change things, but in the last few years, I've not had to pay for it at all. It will ask me if I want to upgrade to another account, but I always tell it no, and I've never had to. Why I love this is because it is an audio recording app. So you can go ahead and click Enter Studio. And I use it to record my listening assessments and any listening activities I want my kids to do. So I'll click Podcast because that's focused on the voice. I close this. I don't need any of these things. I add a new track. And I click Voice and Mic. It's telling me to allow the access, which you always do. And then you can click Start Recording and record. I'm not using headphones. Okay. Gives you a little countdown. This is a demo of Soundtrap making a listening activity. And then you can play it back to see everything works, or edit if you need to. We'll play it back so you can hear. This is a demo of Soundtrap making a listening activity. I like it because for listening, especially listening assessments, I don't know about you, but by the end of the day, I'm tired of saying it over and over again, so I go really, really fast. And like in the morning, it was slow, but by the end of the day, it's really fast. And it's unfair to my kids at the end of the day to hear it faster than I gave it in the morning. So by recording it, it's the same for everybody. If I make a mistake, everybody heard the same mistake. If there was a noise in the background, everybody heard the same noise. So it's a fair playing ground. I'll record the first version of it, and then I will duplicate it. So I don't have to re-say it or remember to play it twice. It'll just play twice in a row because I will copy it. Hola, Jeremiah. I will just like this segment I'll show you here. You sit here, you Control C, and I can move my cursor over here. And why is it not copying for me? Control C. And I don't know why it's not working for me at the moment, but it normally does. Let's try doing it the old-fashioned way. Oh, it's not letting me do it that way at all. Normally, I'm able to select this, copy it, and paste it. I'm not sure why it's not letting me do it at the moment. Whenever I'm in demo mode, that's how it always happens. But you can go ahead and... Oh, there's why. Here it is. So I can go here, and I can then move this back over here, and then I can duplicate it. So it plays it twice automatically for students. They hear the exact same thing over, and I don't have to remember to play it twice. It's automatically going to do it. Another great use for this, when students are absent, to get them to take the listening quiz, I have it set up at my desk. I just tell them when they come back in, go to my desk, get into the computer, put the headphones on, listen, and then they can take their assessment right away. This is also great for recording listening activities if you want to give them listening practice. This is a great way to do it, especially if you're going to have a sub and you know in advance you can make an activity for them to listen to and answer questions like a practice quiz so they can get used to it. You can save them As you say, it's saved. You can give it a title. You can export it one of these ways. MP3 is the most common. Wave is a bigger file, so I wouldn't recommend doing that. OGG is also a bigger file. MIDI is for music, so you wouldn't need that for voice. So you can do one of those. But I recommend, I'm going to get out of the studio here. I recommend that you do not export it and that you just save it on here. So I've created different levels for my levels, and I can go in, and here are all the listening. These were, this is not a quiz. These are listening activities that we did for a crime, a murder mystery that we did. So these are the interrogations they had to listen to. Then these are some quizzes, but they're all there. And all I have to do is click play. I don't have to remember where I downloaded the file. I don't have to think about what I named it. It's all here, and I just organize them into folders so that I know where I need to look. So here's my Spanish 2 folder, and I can see all of them and then play them as needed. So I could, play
Spanish 1B, listening quiz. You will hear a story in Spanish twice. Listen both times carefully and then answer the questions that follow.
And you can see it, and this one's miscategorized anyways. It should be into different folders. It should be in that folder, not in that one. So, but you can see all the different quizzes that I have, and it makes it really easy. And I used to record them in GarageBand on my Mac, but then I'd always forget, where did I store it? What did I name it? And I could never remember. This way, I just go to this app. It's got an iPhone app. It's got a Android app, and it's on the web. And I can always find what I need when I need it. So it's perfect for me. And as I said, it's free, and it's made my life so much easier when it comes to listening activities or listening assessments. So there is Soundtrap. Next is YouTube. YouTube is not just for entertainment. You can learn a lot on YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube, but not entertainment type of YouTube. It's educational, to learn something new, something that's interesting, any of those kinds of things. So I use it quite a lot. These are just 3 example YouTube channels. You can find all kinds of them. Just do a search for your language and find out which ones work best for you in your classroom. Elise Ayel, I know personally, so her French stories are incredible. So you can find them, and these are really great to me. They're assigned for a homework assignment, or even an in-class assignment, or a sub-assignment, to have them listen to these videos and then answer some comprehension questions about them. And I'll just give an example of Elise's for a moment.
Coucou les French learners! Aujourd'hui, c'est la dernière session du défi de mars. Ça y est, c'est fini. C'est la dernière, c'est l'ultime session du défi de mars. C'est la session numéro 30, la 30e.
And you can turn on closed captions so that you can see more. She goes through and she illustrates as she talks, so to help it make it more comprehensible. And you can see she's speaking quite slowly. And it's a really, really great website to learn French. There's Easy German. Joanne says, I love her videos. Whoops, let me get to my cursor here. I love her videos. I've been trying to get my French back using them. Diane Neubauer sings her praises. Yes, she is amazing and a very sweet person. So this is one of them. Easy German. If you're teaching German, this is a good one for that. They have different topics that you can watch. So if I click on just a video,
Hallo, Servus und Habitäre zu einer neuen Easy German Ausgabe aus Wien. Heute geht es ums Thema Beruf und Arbeit und wir fragen die Menschen, was auf ihren Visitenkarten steht, wie sie das geworden sind, was sie arbeiten und welche Tipps sie haben für Menschen, die auf Arbeitssuche sind.
now what's good about like Easy German, you have to go back further and they speak slower. He's speaking quite fast. But with YouTube, you can go into the settings and you can change the playback speed. So if we do it 0.75, if they're speaking...
Los geht's!
Let's go back and play that same portion again.
Hallo, Servus und Habitäre zu einer neuen Easy German Ausgabe aus Wien. Heute geht es ums Thema Beruf und Arbeit und wir fragen die Menschen, was auf
That makes it a lot easier to understand when you can slow it down a little bit. And again, you've got the closed captions. And then one I like in French, and I know this gentleman as well. He is from Barcelona, but he travels a lot. So he's rarely in Barcelona. He usually is living in Asia or other countries like that. But you can go and listen. He's got different topics.
No sé por dónde empezar. No sé qué comer primero. Está.
And this one is not even by him. He's got another person in it. Let me see if I can find him. Here's one he's in. This is the guy that I know.
Seguro que vosotros habéis oído hablar de ChatGPT. Ahora ChatGPT está en todos lados y hoy vamos a jugar con él y, por supuesto, en español.
So lots of different things that you can do with the YouTube. So they can find a lot of things to help with providing comprehensible input to students. And again, closed captions help. Amina says, he is so expressive. I love watching him too. And he's just one. There's so many different ones in all the different languages. These are just, I just picked the ones I most familiar with, but there are lots of different ones in all the different languages. And what's great about them is you can find people from different regions that speak, like this, he's got the Castilian accent when he speaks. He's using the vosotros when he speaks. So it's really helpful in those types of things to find someone from France versus someone from Quebec to speak, or Austrian German versus Swiss German versus German German. That's always great. Joanne says, my students love how he always says CCC. I do that too a lot. I don't know where it comes from, but when I answer, I'm always CCC. I do it a lot. Joanne says, we also enjoy De mi rancho a tu cocina, from my ranch to your kitchen. I've not heard of that one. I'm going to put a note down for that one to check it out. But as you can see, you can use YouTube for educational purposes. And what I like to do, if it's one that I really like, a video that I really like, I download it because two things. YouTube, things always disappear off YouTube. So you plan a whole lesson around this particular video, you go to YouTube and it's gone. Or invariably what always happens to me is the internet goes down that day. Or that's the day that for whatever reason YouTube got blocked and you have to now send a request to get it unblocked again. So I always like to download. And then what I do to download, oops, if I can get to the right browser thing. Okay. I don't want there. Okay. So if I go to the right download, I just go download, because these sites always change too. Download YouTube video. And there are some sites that work, some that don't. So I always keep this list open and I try whichever one I can find. And then I put the link to the YouTube video and then I download it. So I can save the videos. If you look at my, here, let's go here. All my movie talk videos, I have downloaded because I'm always afraid they're going to disappear. So I keep a whole bunch of the videos I've downloaded from YouTube in a file. I may or may not use them as a movie talk or anything, but I just have them in case because I don't know if they're going to disappear. So I always download things that I like. So I suggest doing that. I can't recommend any particular website for downloading because they change and they go out. They change all the time. So just search for download YouTube videos every time and try the first one, then the second one. Like I know a couple of these are blocked on our school site. So you can just find just try a different one. There's enough out there that you can find to be able to download the YouTube videos. Now, my last thing I want to talk about is, and we're going to pause this. Okay. Is this Chrome extension called Language Reactor. So if you go and type in Language Reactor Chrome extension. Whoops. I see your question. I'll get you in just a second here. So Joanne asks, when they go down, do you lose the downloaded videos? No, they don't. They're on my computer, so I can go ahead and I can play them straight from my computer. So once I've downloaded them, they're in my possession. And if they disappear off YouTube, or if YouTube is down or it's blocked, I've got them on my hard drive and I can just play them from there. That's a good question. So this Language Reactor, you can go right here, do a Language Reactor Chrome extension, download it. I've already have it on my computer, obviously, and it really works wonders with Netflix. It can also be used for YouTube, but I don't find it as useful for YouTube as I do for Netflix. So anything that's in a language, whether it is something produced in that country for that language, like a lot of the TV shows, or a lot of TV shows, especially if they're created by Netflix, are published in multiple languages. So here, I'm on Netflix and I'm on Stranger Things. I just picked a random episode. I turned it into Spanish. So by clicking over here, I put it into Spanish. I always prefer closed captions over subtitles because by law, closed captions have to be exactly what they say for the deaf and hearing impaired. Subtitles, as we know, generally summarize. So they could be saying like a paragraph and they put one subtitle to summarize the whole thing on there. So I prefer closed captions if possible. But what this Language Reactor does is all of this. So it has its own subtitles it puts down on the bottom, and you'll see it. I'm going to show you in just a moment. But it also has everything up here, and you can save it to your little library as you're watching to find out what's being said. So you can click it over here, and as you see, as I highlight it, it's telling me what it's saying so I can review it. So if we go and play. And if I want to learn, let me see this phrase right here, I can highlight it and save it. It's useful. I'm not paying for it currently, but it's useful to pay the subscription if you want to do some of the pro features. They keep changing their subscriptions on it. but it's a way that you can get more use out of it. If you're using it a lot, I recommend that you pay for it. But here are some words that are using in there, and you can add it to your...
Poder.
So you can find out more about the words. Any words that you've saved can be in here. But it's really helpful for them to watch, to get something that's really entertaining, because they can pick whatever they want to watch, whether it be a movie or, anything that they want to watch that's available on Netflix. Put it in the target language. Put it in the target language. Watch it and then use the subtitles to help learn what they're saying. And so it becomes really useful. And they can, highlight over what they want to highlight to kind of see what each thing means. They can slow it down. They can go backward and watch it again so they can figure out each different part. And because they get to choose the videos that they want to watch, they're more engaged with it because it's something they want to see and not something that was prescribed to them or told them to watch this particular video. So it's a really good, couldn't think of the word, Chrome extension. And it is very useful on the free version, but it's not very much, $6 a month to use if you're going to really use it to learn a language so that you can save a lot of the words and save them in your own personal list. And it works with almost any language, at least all the ones we teach in the United States. It works without any problems. I'm not sure how many languages they actually support, but French, German, Mandarin, Italian, Spanish, they're all available on here. So those are the different apps that I recommend that we can use to help increase comprehensible input in the classroom. I remember when I was taking languages back in high school and even in college, we didn't have anywhere near any of these types of things that we can help simplify our lives. I even remember we listened to a whole soap opera in French, and we had to buy our cassette tapes. We had to buy like 10 cassette tapes and then give them to the language lab, and they would dub them all onto the tapes so that we could listen to it on our own. So what we have available at our fingertips now is so much easier, and we can provide so much different variety of comprehensible input with lots of apps. And these just touch the surface. There's new apps coming out all the time that you can search up and find or discover along the way. So does anybody have any questions or comments that they would like to add before we wrap up tonight? While you're contemplating that, please like and subscribe to these videos if you'd like to get more teacher tips on comprehensible input in the modern language classroom. By liking the videos, it does get them out to more teachers. Joanne is talking about Textivate, which is another great one to manipulate text around for reading. That is a great one too. It's a paid app for that, but it's another one well worth it if you want to do a lot of the manipulation with text. That's a great app. Thanks, Joanne. Amina says, did you say that Language Reactor was closed captions? Yes, it does use it as closed captions. So exactly what they're saying is what shows up there. And they also put in descriptions of things that are going on. So it may not be actually spoken, but they will, like when the monster was growling, they put in brackets gruñido, growling, or that he growled on there, so that there's other words in there as well. So I like that. It's really, really helpful, especially if you're trying to, like I've been watching some French TV shows, and it helps me as I'm watching them by putting it on the Learning Reactor app and then watching the French and learning the subtitles. Because number one, French is not phonetic, so it helps me to see how it's spelled versus how it's said. Lots of times I might not understand what they're saying, but if I read it, I go, oh, okay, that's what they're doing. So it helps me associate all those things. And then I can keep track of things I wanted to learn as I go along. So it makes them much more comprehensible. And again, just like in YouTube, you can slow down the speech as well with Netflix. Yes, Joanne, again, talking about Textivate is a very expensive program, but can be very helpful. Yes, we tried it one year. We bought it for all of our teachers one year, but we decided that we'd rather spend our money elsewhere. We didn't get as much use out of it, although we like it. We just didn't get what we thought was our money's worth because we didn't use it as often as we could. And so we tend to spend our money on a couple of other things that we chose that we do actually use more often. But it is a great app. It is that. I will give you that. Okay, then. Without that, then I will go ahead and end for tonight. Next week, let me see what we're doing next week. We are going to be talking about... Yes, Joanne says, given the choice between Woolly or Textivate, I'll get Woolly. Yes, that's one we do pay for because we all use it. That is a very good idea. We're going to be talking about next time balancing the target language with the home language in the classroom. So that's what we'll be talking about next week. Same time, same channel, 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. And I will see all of you next time. Everybody have a great week.